I'm sure you can maybe reference the video. But today we're looking more into the digitalization aspect of leadership and how that can help us, one, stand out as individuals, but secondly, help our organizations, our businesses. I run a business and I can say if you don't have digital leadership today, you cannot be competitive. And I think we know this because technology is booming and growing at a very rapid rate. So how do we incorporate that into our ways of working? So that's what I'm here to talk about today. My bio has already been read. So yeah, I'll just quickly go through this. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a consultant, I'm a coach. My primary business is the Growth Plug Limited. That's on the entrepreneurship side. It's an IT and business consulting company, both registered in the UK and in Nigeria. I am based in the UK, but I think should be in Nigeria at some time during the year due to this for business and other stuff. I also have, I also work with My Hospital Limited as their consultant, the expansion and growth director. This is also a digitalization company, but focused on hospitals. And by God's grace, we're seeing remarkable results. Otobiri, I think some people on the platform who have interacted with me might know this platform. It's something my team and I also developed for just to help people express themselves and host things a bit more seamlessly in Nigeria and beyond. And then on the coaching part, Momentum Conversations, which is what I run. That's where I talk about like self-development and all that, all that tied to it. So this is me. In terms of focus, you always hear me talk about productivity and performance, leadership and growth, regardless of whether it's digital, spiritual, whether it's psychological. These are my key areas, and I always just talk around these things. So feel free to message me. Look out my LinkedIn later as we progress. Okay, so today we're here to talk about operational excellence and leadership. How does digitalization play a role when it comes to leadership? And for us in the energy sector, this is a word that I'm sure you've heard before, and you most likely hear throughout your career because it's quite essential. The question is, why is this important? So typically you have this nice looking asset, and forgive my bias, when I say energy, most times in my head, it just goes to oil and gas, which is not correct. And that's because that's my background. So forgive my bias, I'll be using things tied to oil and gas, but it's energy, even if it's a solar plant, a hydro plant, a geothermal plant, whatever it is, not just oil and gas. Yeah. So usually we have an asset of this nature, and one of the things we hope for, the good thing about our industry is our assets usually have quite a significant lifespan, right? We don't just develop them and hope or bring them on and expect them to phase out in like 10 years, 15 years. No, most times on the average, it's like 25 years at first, and then you can even stretch it as much as 50 years or beyond, depending on how safe and how reliable the asset is. And but unfortunately, this doesn't always happen, right? If you've worked in some of our assets, you will notice that you see what used to look as clean and wonderful as what we have on the left over time, and it is natural, right? Wear and tear is a natural process, and that's second law of thermodynamics. Things will always move to their default state. So whatever it was, whatever material we used in creating this, at first it wasn't like that, and so it will naturally want to go back to its default state. But that's the key of operational excellence: is how can we run these assets for as long as we can in a safe manner, optimize performance, and still make sure that we get value from it, right? And not just make things go like get destroyed or bad without meeting the objective. And unfortunately, in Nigeria, and if I'm careful to say this, but even beyond Nigeria, in Africa, sometimes we have in quotes this statement where we say we have a poor maintenance culture. I think we've heard of something like that. I don't think I'm alone. That's something we typically say because it shows up in our infrastructure in terms of roads, in terms of buildings, in terms of assets, and it has become the norm, unfortunately. So people are used to that poor maintenance, operations and maintenance culture, even at home, right? If you're not careful, you see some of your things going back at home and you don't even care because it's like, when the phase is out, I'll just get the new one. While there are some materials that happens, but for critical assets, it's too expensive to just get a new one than maintaining what you currently have. And so that's what operational excellence is about. For those who love definitions, I just added this here. Think of operational excellence, because we are coming to the leadership part. But what are we trying to achieve? Operational excellence. It is the disciplined execution of safe, reliable, and efficient operations. And why do we do this? These three words are very key. Safe, it means it won't cause harm to people, to environment. It's reliable, consistently deliver what we want it to deliver, and it's efficient. And this is a productivity word for those who have gone through my stuff. It's making sure that you maximize your resources to get the best performance. And that typically leads to asset performance, like we said, compliance, because our industry is heavily watched over, and there are lots of compliance. That sector, this energy sector, is a lot of guardrails, and then obviously deliver sustainable value. So that's what, when you think operational excellence, right, that's what you should come to your mind. And then this leads us to the next part of it, which is leadership for operational excellence. Now, when you hear leadership, there are some key things that makes someone a leader, whether either at home, yourself, at work, in church, whatever gathering you find yourself. To be a leader, there are some key components. I just highlighted these 5 to help us get into the conversation, and then we'll see how this relates to operational excellence. So a leader is always someone with a vision. That person understands where they want people they are leading, or the organization they're leading, or even themselves they want to go to. What is the destination? A leader must always know the destination. If not, everybody can be moving in one direction and then end up in the wrong direction. And definitely they will call out the leader. So that's one thing. The second thing about leaders are people who can influence. Influencing people is not manipulation or force. When you influence, you don't force, you don't manipulate, you convince, and people see that vision where you're leading them to. And most times they will tie into what you're doing. The leader is someone who is accountable. It's not someone who is pushing out blames like, hey, you did not do this, you did not do this. Is this person that did not do it? No, a leader knows that I am the one leading this group. I am the captain over this ship. And as it sails, I have to make sure we get to the right destination safely. And so there's always that sense of accountability with leaders. A leader communicates well, because if you have the right vision and people don't understand that, it's difficult for everybody to move in that direction or to work as one. And finally, a leader is somebody with integrity, someone who keeps to what they say, they do what they say, and they say what they do. They don't just say things because it's nice to have, but they practice what they preach, and it makes it easier for people to trust them. This is where trust is built. When people show integrity, people will tend to trust you more. Like I said, there are other aspects of leadership, right? Things like even providing the right resources for your team. Is not just telling them, let's move in this direction. Have you given them the right resources and the right training and everything to make sure you go there, right? So these are like some buckets under leadership. Now let's tie this to operational excellence. Remember the 3 words I talked about: safe, efficient, and reliable, right? And if you've been in this industry, in our industry for long, and maybe had some conversations at different levels, you will know that there are some leadership things we talk about when it comes to managing our sector, our assets, and all of that. And a few of them I will just list and how everything ties together. One is safety leadership, right? Are people safe in your assets, in what you're doing? Your operations cannot be excellent if you're reporting harms, if you're reporting accidents, fatalities, unfortunately. And unfortunately, I've been in assets where some of these things happen. Some of our colleagues, unfortunately, have died, either by not taking care of themselves, or even our processes were not maybe as good as it should be to prevent some accidents, right? So safety leadership, very important. What other kind of leadership do we look forward to in our sector? Reliability and asset leadership, for that asset to produce what it is meant to produce reliably. It is available, it's not breaking down. That's our reliability and asset leadership. It's also a form of leadership. So you see all the buckets I listed above, all of them play into each of these leadership pillars in the energy industry. Another one is cost and value leadership. I'm sure we can relate with this. Your expenses, Are you leading in the right way? Is there a vision on how we want to spend our money, and are we making the best use of it? We have performance leadership. Our assets, individuals, are we training people? Are they doing well? How is that contributing to the bottom line? Are they clear on what they're supposed to be doing? That's also performance. And then finally, like I said, this is not all of it, but I just want to build a case for where we're going, which is the digital part of things. And then we have people and culture. How our culture, is it a positive one? Is it something that when people come in, they are excited to be there? Or is it a system that when people come in, they can't wait to leave? Do you have a lot of people resigning because the environment is toxic? It's not encouraging, it's not helping them. So these are all the pillars, and there are more depending on what framework an organization uses. But most times you'll find out that most things around operational excellence is tied within these leadership pillars. And across all these pillars, there is something that usually plays across all of them, and that's digital leadership. As we keep evolving, right, for those who are very much in tune with the industrial revolutions, right, from the first, and now we're even heading, or might be in the fifth. I think we're still trying to define what the fifth industrial revolution is fully, due to the emergence and speed at which technology is propagating. So, but one key theme within most of the modern day, I think from the third industrial revolution and going forward, is the idea of digital leadership. And the good thing about digital leadership is it cuts across all these other buckets. Because you want to understand how you want to integrate things, you want to bring them together, you want to make sure that your systems are able to sustain what you do as a company, as an organization, and within your business and all of that. And that's where digital leadership comes in. Now, the question is, what is digital leadership? And if I'm to ask, what is digital leadership? Maybe maybe just because of time. If not, it will keep it open, but you feel free to drop in the chat. I'll see if people drop things. What is digital leadership, which is what we are talking about today? Digitalization as a leadership level. How can we bring digitalization and leadership together? If you notice, I'm careful with my choice of word. I didn't say digitalization leadership. I said digital leadership, because most times when people hear digitalization, or digitalization is just one part of digital, let's put it that way. But most times people just think digitalization and they box everything within digitalization. But my objective today is to clarify that and then introduce you to some things that can help you, even your organization, really practice digital leadership. So let's go into the first one. So digital leadership is divided into three, and I will explain them on this call just to help provide context and clarity. So the first thing about digital leadership, or the first aspect of digital leadership is, first of all, what is everything? What is digital leadership? Digital leadership is all about creating a well-defined plan and methodology to imbibe digital solutions within your business to maximize your operations, performance, and profit. Literally, that's what it does. How can we bring in digital? How can we create that vision and work that plan consistently to achieve our goals? And when you think digital leadership, if there's anything you get out of this call, I want you to think in these three buckets, because they are very important. The first is digitization. So digitization is the foundation of digital leadership. And what is digitization? Before this time, most of the data, if not all the data we captured, were in analog form. What does that mean? It's either written or it is carved in stone or something. And we already know the difficulty with that. First of all is how to replicate that. It is always difficult to replicate, and the speed of replicating that and the cost of doing that. And as technology evolved and as we evolved as a species, we got to the point where we realized, hey, we can actually translate what we have in manual, paper-like, physical copy into digital versions. And that's what digitization is all about. It's all about converting your physical and manual processes into digital ones, right? Everything analog information, bringing it into the future, bringing it into digital format rather. And that is what digitization is. And like I said, this is a bucket under what? Digital leadership. So it's all about fixing the past, because we have a lot of processes, a lot of information we've captured before this time, and they were in paper form. So now is how can we bring it to digital form, and going forward, how can we make sure that as much as possible we are capturing things in digital form? Better to store, better way to share, to transmit, and even to use that data. An example is everything was maybe in paper format, and then now you're moving it to digital format. Unfortunately, our industry, at least from my experience, maybe let me not say the entire energy industry, the oil and gas industry or sector is quite slow in adopting digitization. I'm sure if I ask you, is your company digitalizing? Everybody will say, yes, oh yeah, we are doing it. Okay, but the question is, do you still have a lot of papers within your system? And most times you will find out that that's what's happening. There's still a lot of manual stuff still being done, a lot of paper within the industry. We're quite slow to digitize compared to some other sectors. And it's not just us, most asset-intense sectors, even the mining industry, manufacturing as well. These things also play out, right? But some companies are pushing it beyond limit. A typical example is Tesla. I'm sure most of us know Tesla. Tesla is an asset-intense organization, but they are one of the organizations that have, in terms of digital leadership, they are one of those really at the top. You barely find papers or manual stuff within their processes. So this is bucket number one, digitization. So when you hear digital leadership, always think about the foundation, because if you don't capture data, you cannot do digitalization and the other part of it, which I'm going to share. The second part is what we typically call digitalization, right? And this is the buzzword that most people use, but it's different from digitization, and it's different from digital leadership as a whole. Digitalization is all about using the IT and digital technologies to alter and optimize existing business processes. So while digitalization is all about capturing that information, right? Finding better ways to translate things from the manual to digital form or from paper form to digital form. Digitalization tends to string a couple of processes together that your business currently does and finds a way to bring all of that in a digital format and automate it as much as possible. Right? So that is a distinction between digitization. Why digitization is, I can digitize my copies, but I might not do anything about it. That's not really digitalization. I just translated my data. But digitalization is, okay, for example, I need to send a request to my boss. Before this time, I'll use a paper. My boss fills it and calls me on the phone, hey, come and pick it up. And then when my boss gives it to me, I move it to another colleague who moves it to a contractor, who moves it to a client, who moves it to the customer. You see that whole process, right? Each of them on their own might be a digitization issue. But by the time you start stringing all those processes together, you might have ended up digitalizing the whole approval system or the whole approval process within your organization. So that's what digitalization is all about. And it's a very important part of digital leadership. So when we capture information, what do we do? How do we use that information or the existing technologies or new ones to make sure that we improve our existing processes? I can see on our call, we can see a lot of note takers, AI assistants. That's what digitalization does, right? So one, it is digitalizing what we're saying, but secondly, it's going to process that information and most likely supply that information to you in a structured manner. So it has digitalized. Before this time, somebody has to be taking minutes of meeting. When the person is done, the person goes back home, the person sits down, tries to summarize the key bullet points, and most times the person cannot capture everything. And then the person has to then distribute it to everybody. But you see these three processes right now with the note taker we have on board, it will do everything. And by the end of this call, automatically, whoever it is that has this AI assistant will receive the information in a structured way inside their mail and can share with other persons. So that process has been digitalized. I hope that's clear. Just for those who don't know this, some of us might be very familiar with this already, but this is just to provide perspective, and it will lead well into what the other part of our discussion. So usually you have fragmented processes, and with digitalization, you try to unify them, you try to connect them, and then it makes sense to whoever is using that. And then the final part of the digital leadership is what we call digital transformation. Digital transformation right now, and the objective of digitalization is to focus on the present, improving what is currently existing, right? But digital transformation now looks into the future. We're not just looking at of improving what is currently existing. We are rethinking how our organization runs, right, using digital capabilities. So how can we not just string processes together, but how can this affect our culture, our way of working, our business model, our service delivery, right? You're literally rethinking everything based on the information you're getting from digitalization. And these three buckets must be there for you to be a digital leader. So a typical example, using AI to optimize, like, let's say, your maintenance schedule, right? We know how maintenance is done right now. You have your CMMS system, maybe SAP, for those who are even using those platforms. And then you have to obviously schedule things, and then resource management. How many technicians do I have on board? How many of them can fix my equipment? But when it comes to digital transformation, we're saying, hey, can we even rethink this in terms of optimizing? If this person is working on this, I don't need to manually capture a number of hours this person is working, because we can track that. We can factor in the rest period. We can factor in the leave period, and everything is just very optimized. It will help you rethink how you do things. It will help you rethink how you actually make money out of your business. So it's not just improving on what is currently existing, but it's redefining what is existing into something new. And that is what digital transformation it's all about. And these three buckets, when you hear someone is a digital leader or a company is practicing digital leadership, they have to go through these three phases. And like I said, in our industry, you find bits and pieces of digitization and digitalization, but it's not, you barely find organizations that are fully digitized and fully practicing digitalization before they even go into digital transformation. One of the industries that is so good at this is, I'll say, I don't know if this is the best word to use, but the social media sector, or yeah, whatever that sector is called. They are so good at this. You barely, have you noticed on social media, you don't write a letter and send to somebody. Everything is happening there. Even your business model, everything is so tied into digital that you can literally use your phone and run a whole business worth thousands and millions of dollars, all from your phone, at most a computer. If you don't even have a computer, you can still run it on your phone. That's how much that sector or industry, in fact, it was built on digital. And so it makes it easy to do everything in one place. It helps you. And when there are new trends, immediately, for those who are quite active on LinkedIn, for example, when there's a new trend and a new shift in algorithm, you notice that even your business model tends to change. If you understand it quickly, you can plug into that new algorithm because of something that maybe the platform understands. And then you're able to do that. But our industry is quite, and for different reasons, right? One of the reasons, and a notable reason, is because of the cost of our industry, right? It's quite cost intense. Safety wise, if something fails, obviously somebody might unfortunately die. So the risk is way more in our industry, and that's why we tend to take things gradually. But sometimes because in terms of, instead of, by taking it slowly, we don't evolve as fast as we should, and that causes some challenges. So yeah, I'm sure if I ask the question from what I just showed now, I'm sure you can categorically say what aspect of your what stage your organization is currently at, right? Or maybe a combination of some, but at least you can estimate and say, okay, within my organization, I think right now we are around maybe 60% digitized, because we still have fragments of papers here and that. Digitalization, most of our processes, we still need to do something on Excel and send an email and follow up with a call. So it might be like, okay, digitalization from my team, from my department, is maybe a 30%, and digital transformation, no, we're still doing business as usual. The digital information, the information we have from digitalization has not influenced our outcomes. So maybe we are still, if I would not even started digital transformation, because there are pillars, there are structures to do this stuff. So I hope this already provides that clarity for you to then think deeply about your business, your team, your organization, and depending on what level you are, try to influence, right? Try to influence. Okay, so that brings me to the next part of this conversation, and it's within the Growth Blog. I mentioned that we're an IT and business consulting company, and one of the things we try to do is to make sure that we help organizations go through this spectrum of doing these things, because we know it's from this that a lot of organizations will then be profitable. They will be safe to run their operations and all of that. And so my team and I, along with some other people, we started building different tools and things just to help with this streamlining, because what we noticed is some organizations try to do this, but they have to pay for multiple tools to be able to do some of these things. So maybe you're using SAP for the digitalization of just your CMMS of your maintenance process. You're using another tool. Microsoft is a very good one for digitization. Microsoft 365, if you have that tool. And then, but digital transformation most times is not about the tool. It's about the individuals, the leaders of the organization. So we found out that most people they struggle, mostly for smaller businesses, and then even the bigger ones, they struggle to have a streamlined platform to help do all this stuff. And that's where my team and I, as part of what we do while consulting for companies, we started seeing that, oh, there's a huge gap. It's not like these people don't want to do it, but there are different reasons why it seems they are not able to do it. And that led to our studies, like digital implementation in the energy sector. What are the challenges we experienced? Quite a number of challenges, but some of the biggest one, and I'm sure you might relate with this, is the complexity. Some tools in the industry are highly complex. I'm sorry to cite them again. SAP is one of them. If you buy the application, you need to go for a workshop to learn how to use it, because you have a lot of codes. I don't know if anybody can relate with this. Not just SAP, a lot of the tools we use within the energy, oil and gas. Let me use oil and gas industry. I know I'm speaking to the energy sector. Most of them are quite complex. You have to go and learn. In fact, most times they pay for a 5-day workshop training to learn how to use an application because of how complex it can be. So this already is a barrier to people adopting digital, because they're like, okay, I have to invest money, I have to invest a lot of time to learn this stuff because I want to improve stuff. My paper system works. Okay, let's just keep up with it. Another thing is expenses. It's quite expensive. Some of these tools are quite expensive. And by the time you try using them, then for some businesses, they are not able to justify them. Even a company as big as Shell, there are some applications that, even though they know a lot of people needed it, they just bought few licenses because they couldn't keep up with the cost of buying a license for everyone. It was too expensive. So 2 or 3 people will be sharing one license, functional accounts, because it was too expensive, right? As part of cost leadership, they have to do the right thing. Do we need everybody to have the license? As much as we would love that to make things digitalization faster, but it's too expensive. We can't keep up. So let a couple of people have it, and then we look at others lashing onto what they have. And then the third reason we've seen is most people find some of the digital solutions quite disruptive, mostly for our senior colleagues that are not used to a lot of digital stuff, right? They find it very disruptive, mostly in the field. They're like, hey, guys, we've been doing this for like 25 years, 30 years, and this whole stuff you're bringing is just complicating it for us. I know I just need to sign a paper, take it to somebody, the person signs it, moves it to the next, but it seems like people are coming with something I don't understand. So I need to go and learn how to do Excel, this plus that. Hello, if they'll tell you, is that what is bringing oil from the ground? That's not what is bringing oil. So please, let us be. I recently had a conversation with with someone, a demo, and that was their question. That was one of the touch points. They had this expert that's been there for years, and this person is like, hey, this technology you're bringing, is it not possible to make it simple? It's disrupting our flow. We have a flow, and this thing is disrupting it. And that's where change management, for those who are familiar with it, transformational change management, that's where it comes in. You don't just tell people, stop using paper, start using this one. It doesn't work that way. You need to know that you need to educate them, you need to guide them, you need to handhold them till they get comfortable. You're trying to help them solve their problem. You're not imposing. Remember the bucket we talked about, leadership, influence. It's not forcing people to do things. It's not manipulating them to do things. It's convincing them with the right data and with the right conversation for them to know that, hey, this is for our benefit as a team. Let's do it. And so these are some of the challenges we noticed. And typically what will happen, it just hits a roadblock. And it's like, oh my God, we cannot digitalize. We've tried this before. And then you heard some comments like this, our current system works fine. I'm sure you can relate with some of this. They're like, I know, no, don't worry. What we have is working. You hear comments like, people won't adapt this, right? Because that disruption sometimes is just too much for them. So we love your idea, we love what you're bringing, but our people will not take it, right? And all of this is tied to lack of digital leadership. Because if you have a digital leader within that team, that person will know that you have to break things down in a way that adoption is not a problem, right? And that's why we tell people, don't just go about buying softwares and applications, that it won't solve your problem in the long run. In fact, you might end up, first of all, paying for it and not using it, which is what we've seen with a lot of organizations. And then you have people say things like, we've tried something like this before, there's no need. Obviously, because the previous one was challenging. Now it's like, oh, you're coming with something new, we are not even ready for this stuff. You can also hear something like, this is just another trend. Don't worry, it will phase out. It's not adding real value, it's going to phase out and all of that. And all of these things you just see show a lack of digital leadership, right? And we started asking ourselves, what can we do better? How can we help people? And I'll tell you, one of the things that inspired us is actually working with a lot of social media tools. It just started helping us rethink some of the way we do things. I say this to people typically. I say in the energy sector, the assumption is everybody is smart enough so they can handle difficult things. So no matter how difficult it is, you have to figure it out. You're a smart person, you work in the energy sector. While that is supposed to be commendable, it slows down progress. In the social media world, it is very different. Permit my choice of word. They build the application with the notion everybody is a dummy. They don't even understand. Like you have to make it extremely easy for them to use. That's the assumption. And you can see how that mindset shapes how they build things for people. Because they're not assuming you're this smart person who can do integral calculus. As much as I love doing those things, they assume that this person will only understand 1 + 1. Make it so simple so that they will use it. And you can see that thoughtfulness into some of the products. That's why you spend so much time. You go on Instagram and you say, okay, I want to spend 5 minutes. You end up 2 hours later, you're there. On YouTube, on LinkedIn, on all these platforms. Do you know why? Because they built it factoring your thinking, putting in consideration that this person, what will this person like? Oh, if this person watches a short video, if you throw the next short video, this person will likely stay on the platform. I don't know if you can already see that digital innovation, that thinking, but in our energy, in the energy industry, most of the platforms we use, they don't make that assumption. The assumption is this person must be good in Excel. This person already knows how to use PowerPoint. This person knows how to use Microsoft Word. This person can even use ChatGPT. So they must know how to use it. If not, they're not good enough to be in the industry. And so they build solutions factoring that kind of mindset, and it makes it difficult for digitalization. But we are trying to change that. And one of the things we are doing to help with it, because we believe in not just complaining about things or pointing out issues, but actually playing a role in solving those problems. And that's why, like I said, not just the energy part, even the health sector. And by God's grace, we have over almost 100 hospitals and pharmacies using our medical digitalization software, because we literally, somebody in our team who studied petroleum engineering had to go and work with hospitals for months to learn about their processes. What will this person think about? And you can see that thoughtfulness, because then they start building it to suit them, not with the assumption that, hey, we know how it should work. No. And that's what digital leadership is about, understanding what the people need and build it towards that. And for the energy sector, since from my experience and the experience of other people, we said, okay, what can make it easy? I was the operations supervisor in a gas plant. And so it was stressful for me because we had to do a lot of data crunching, capturing, besides our DCS system that reads information directly from the equipment, right, and transmit to maybe our HMI, human machine interface system. Most things we had to capture on paper, at most Excel, at most Word, but you can't do that easily. You have to sit in front of the computer. You can't use your phone. And then you send that Excel sheet to somebody, the person presses Control spoil and destroys something and sends it back to you. And everybody's like, what happened to this? This is not what we sent. What's happening? The whole thing is messed up. And it was a lot. To prepare for a performance review, you have to sit for hours trying to gather data. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And so we decided to build something that will help operations. So anything that is not being streamed live from an IoT, like a transmitter, how can we help people easily capture information so that that information can be used by the leadership to make decisions and help with the business. And so we started building this platform we call DOMS, Digital Operations Management System. And as you can already see, the theme behind what we are doing is very much geared towards, like I said, the social media kind way of thinking. Simplicity, we don't assume anybody, we assume everybody's at the base level, right? So make it so easy, because the people who will use it, most times they don't want to go into those complexities. User friendliness, how can you make it very easy, make it attractive? Even the UI for some of our energy sector platforms are not even encouraging. It's, you look at it and you're already discouraged. Affordability. You can use a lot of social media platforms for free without even paying. It's when you want to do something advanced, you start paying. So they just factor in how cheap things should be. And that makes it easy for a lot of people to come in. And so that's what we're also factoring in into our business model as well. How can we make it as cheap as possible that money is not a problem? People will want to use it. And then accessibility, right? It's not just on your computer. Imagine being able to draft your daily report on your phone. I wish I had this while I was the operations supervisor, because you start your shift by 6 a.m., you finish by almost 6 p.m., and then you still need to go back and start updating stuff after that period, instead of you to rest or something. Right? So it just takes, and that's if you don't have the back-to-back. And sometimes we run without back-to-back. So you can just imagine the stress. And that's what we've been trying to do. And in our application, which if I have time, I'll just show you what it looks like. We have like some very key modules. First is a report builder. This report builder is a drag and drop interface. You can literally build your own solution yourself without knowing anything about tech. You don't need to be somebody who have ever written a code. You don't need to be that person. You just need to drag and drop and design whatever you want, add the beautiful colors. I don't know if is there anyone who is very familiar with Canva for designing flyers and posters? Does anyone use Canva here? Maybe a thumbs up. Okay, great. You see how easy Canva is. Canva, before this time, for you to create a flyer, you need a graphics designer. You must pay for one to even come up with a logo. But Canva has made it so easy that you don't really need it. You only need that if you want something extremely advanced. But the basic stuff, within 5 minutes, you're done with your Canva, because the whole functionality is there. And while we are not at that level yet, that's where we are headed. But think of Canva for the energy industry that can actually capture data for you. So that's what we've been building, because like we said, we want it to be so easy that everybody's on it. It's not complex. We also have our document center that connects with your Microsoft, depending on what storage system your company uses. Even your personal one can connect to your Google Drive, your OneDrive, SharePoint. It integrates with your calendar as well, just to make sure information is always available for you. Also, we have AI as part of the digital transformation part, giving us insights into things, helping us decide how to reshape things within our teams based on real-time data. So we don't need to wait till the end of the month to get a business performance review. Each day as we go, our business performance review is being updated, right? So everything is readily available. And then the personnel manager, how you manage people and things. And just to show a typical example, and like I said, if I have time, I'll go to the platform. Start of shift operations report. Like I said, this one is dear to me because because I suffered a lot while doing this. But using drag and drop, literally this can take maybe 10 to 15 minutes. You can build your own for your own company, right? And you can design it. This, we just kept the basic design, but we've seen people do some really cool stuff with it. Your HSE report. So every day, the HSE reported on site, project things and all of that. And this is the digitization part. So before it used to be paper and pen. Now we've moved it to a digital part. And like I said, the good thing is you can access this on your mobile phone. You don't need to sit in front of a computer. You can upload pictures. You can even imagine doing your report as a video. You can actually do that on our platform, right? You don't even write anything. You just go make a video and you post on the platform, and people can come and watch your video as part of your report. And we're taking it to the next level. In a couple of weeks, we'll be making AI read off that video and provide a detailed summary and put it in a form like this. So you can literally just talk, record, take a picture, and you can get a full report out of it. That's how easy we want it, because that's what we're seeing in the social media world. Why should we always have to type? Why can't we just talk and get our report ready? So that's where we are pushing the boundaries when it comes to technology. So this is digitization. The digitalization part, for example, like I said, you have your whole process integrated. And so you have reports that, imagine you build that report, you don't need to take it to your boss to manually sign. He can sign it on the platform, he can approve it on the platform. And if he forgets to do that, he receives an email telling him that, hey, you're yet to approve this particular report. This is one we're working with a particular company, it's a marine company, and we're helping them set up their system as well. And these are all the reminders. You get that reminder. In fact, one of the things we are integrating to it, we want to also add WhatsApp notification and SMS notification. So by all means, you can access your reports from any like those major platforms, right? Because sometimes when you leave maybe your office, your email is not connected, you might not receive a notification, and you just wake up realizing, oh my God, I didn't get notified, I was supposed to do this. If you want, you can turn it on our platform, and you get a notification via SMS and on WhatsApp telling you, hey, you have 20 minutes to your meeting, you have this presentation yet to come. Just making sure that it's as seamless as possible. Even your facility updates, be it like I said, maybe a nuclear plant, whatever, a geothermal station, a solar plant, you can literally set up your facility and get somebody to update this. The future where we're headed, we're not there yet, is to connect all the transmitters as well directly to this equipment. We're looking at the end of the year or early next year to try to do that integration, at least the basic one, where our platform will start interacting, getting data directly from equipment. Right now, we're not there, but with the way we've built it, it makes it easy for anybody to update. Imagine you don't have to sit in front of your computer. It just makes it very easy for you to update this stuff. And then the digital transformation part, right? Like I said, we already have AI intelligence within our system, where you just come and you prompt it and say, hey, tell me about the HSC report from yesterday. And it's going to come and tell you what it's got from that report. So imagine I'm a manager, I don't have time to go through all the reports, right? I can just come and query the artificial intelligence assistants there and say, hey, please tell me what happened. What was all the reports from all the teams in the last 24 hours, summarize everything for me. Let me see what's happening. And it gives you a full upload of what's happening in your facility. And then you can follow up. And the way we have made this is, like I said, it's integrating with Microsoft and Google platform. So you can also utilize that if you want and connect things to our platform. And then you can, one of the things that people really enjoy about our platform is the fact that you can connect it to other advanced analytics platforms. So while we have our own analytics within the platform to get you started, if you want to do like heavy analytics, we all know like Power BI is the place to go to, not Excel. I know a lot of people like to do it in Excel. Excel is good, but it's not the best for big data, right? So this is our data like connected to a Power BI dashboard, right? The way we built it easily, it just connects and it makes it easy for you to see what's happening. This is like an equipment availability and asset health status. And all of this is digital leadership, playing into the safety, the reliability, the cost of the asset, and all of that. The good thing is we have templates ready, right? And we are building more, right? In fact, we are asking people, hey, just tell us what kind of templates, what kind of reporting system do you need in your organization? Let us know. And within a week, you see it on the platform. And then you can always use it for whatever you want to do. And all of this is making sure digitalization, digital transformation is happening as quick as possible. What are typical benefits? Depending on the size of the organization, that I must say, because the bigger your organization, the more you save, and the more benefit you get to get from it. But even with small organizations, you already start getting massive results. Depending on the size of the organization, and you can look at articles for systems like ours, you can save up to $7,000 per month. Like I said, also depending on the size of the organization. But things like reduction in field operations manpower in terms of the time they spend on manual tasks and reporting, that one reduces drastically. And our platform, we can say definitely 20 to 30% of what people do easily digitalized. Increase in productivity, which is my word. The digital workflow as part of your digitalization. And then your return in investment, you can see for every $1 you bring in, you can see how much value you get. Where do people save money from? One, you can save from the personnel time, right? The time they spend on things. If you quantify that, you can do a lot of savings there. From paper usage and printing, the amount you spend there, the storage of data for us back then, we had this document control center room where we store documents, right? And after 3 years, those documents most times, except for perfs and some other think process flow diagrams, most times you never even reflect on them because it's difficult to go and be opening documents from 15 years ago to see what was production. It's just difficult. And for us, we are saying store all of that there. You can easily get your analytics, your analysis running. And then manpower, right? How much time it saves a team or an individual per month, depending, it can save from 60 hours to up to 1,000 hours for teams, depending on what the team does. So I'll just end with this. Right now, one of the things we're doing is to help organizations get started is a 30-day free trial. You don't need to pay anything. We don't need no form of payment. What we just need you to do is tell us that, hey, this is my organization. These are some of the reports we use. Can you guys digitalize this for us? And if you say yes, your organization is on board, we create an organizational test account, and then we start that trial. No payment needed. And then we assign a technical data analyst to make sure that your analytics is flowing as well easily. Whatever you want to see is there. And also, we are currently looking for partners within the energy sector. Maybe depending on what sector, what part of the energy sector you play, because we want to take this solution out there to other people to help with their digital leadership. All we talked about, digitalization, digital transformation, can be done on the platform. So this is what I have to share today. And I hope you found it insightful. And if we have questions, Chineye, I think because of time, we won't go into the platform, but yeah, I'll hand over if anyone has any questions on the things I talked about. I'm more than happy to take them.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we'll take, our time is fast spent already, but we'll take 2 questions. But before the 2 questions, something I wanted to just mention. Wilson, do you mind moving to the slides where you had those pillars?
Okay, yes, let's go there. Yes, this.
Yes, thank you. And you know what crossed my mind, which I just wanted to quickly share before we take questions as we're going through this slide, is that these are the things that lie at the core of why the energy sector is not working today, if you think about it very critically. And again, like for me, I'm sure if you know, I just don't like to take in things. My point, whenever I attend sessions, like, okay, what can I do differently? What will I do going forward? Now, remember, I want us to look at the top here where you have vision, influence, accountability. These are like the principles there, but can we think about it in terms of each of these? So for your business or the career where you work, in terms of safety, what's your vision for safety? What vision do you have for your organization in terms of safety? What vision do you have for your organization in terms of reliability, cost, performance, people? And then how can you, when you have that vision, like, you know, like Wilson said, in terms of the destination where you want to get to, how do you want to influence your people to get there? And again, you don't have to be the CEO of your organization. Anyway, wherever you are, you can begin to influence, you know, influence your people, whether at the top or below, towards taking the right step in this regard. How can you be accountable? How can you communicate? How can you bring about integrity? And to tell all of this up, it just brings to my mind that all of this can actually be dealt with digital information leadership, right? Yeah. And as we're just speaking, I thought of a particular project that I'm about to get into. And to be honest, I've never thought about anything digital about it. But right now, I'm beginning to think, okay, really and truly, by adding digital, you know, leadership to it, it can actually be like a unique selling point for me in my business and in my career. So for every one of us, we have a problem in this sector, and we all know. But I really wanted all of us to think creatively outside the box. What can you do? Because, you know, the world is going very digital now, and for us as, you know, as Christians, as believers, we should be at the forefront of these things. Okay, we should start thinking about it. We should be at the top of it in different aspects of our business. So I just wanted to buttress that point. So I want us to dimension our business across these pillars: safety, reliability, cost, performance, and people, and see what can I do digitally to improve my business or my career in these 4 pillars. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much, Wilson. So I think we have a hand raised.
Yep.
Daniel, please, do you want to quickly take a question? Daniel, do you want to? Yeah, I think you're muted if you're speaking.
Okay, sorry. Good morning. I lost my phone. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Please, I want to ask 3 questions.
Okay.
The first one is, sorry. The hospital, my hospital you talked about, is it the one founded by Ifa Nwachuku?
Yes.
That's my younger cousin.
Yeah, we work together.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right. He's my brother.
Okay, great.
All right. So the second one is there a way do you integrate also payments? That's in a company now that deals with a lot of money.
Yeah.
Payments that come in from customers for different purposes. Is there also payment? Is there payment? Because I didn't see most of the things I saw was operational, operational work, kind of operational integration, digital integration into operations. So you also have payments, right?
So
we have payments.
Yeah, we haven't integrated it, but if that's something a customer wants, we already, like you already know my hospital, we do payments there. So we have what we call the APIs and the infrastructure, right? So that's not a problem. Within a week, if that's something the organization wants, it should be ready, end to end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice one. Then my last question is sorry, give me a second. Sorry.
Okay, so any other person with a question, can you type it out, or do you want to raise your hand quickly as well while we expect Daniel rounds up his question as well? Okay, but meanwhile, everyone, let's try follow up. Let's follow Wilson on LinkedIn, check out his platform, see how you can integrate it at what you do in your place of work. I'm really thinking about okay. Benjamin, please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Chine. Thank you, our resource person, Mr. Wilson, for the great presentation. I mean, it's been very great. Mine is not a question, it's just a brief add-on. Just want to maybe reinforce some of the things and why it is necessary. That digitalization is very key, and it's an area that we have to, as Gepa members, we need to really pay attention if we can lead in the energy space. Right. So all the key areas, the pillars you've listed: safety, leadership, reliability, cost, performance, and all that. I remember, want to speak a little brief about the leadership, the safety aspect. I remember when I started working, the area at some point, some of the areas are really high concentrated, like it's not really human being going there, it's not really safe, right? But then the push should just be let the work be done. I mean, work should be done, work should be completed. Then I mean, I'm new, but change has to be gradual, as you mentioned in the presentation. So I started asking myself, what can I do? Because I really have safety. I'm very safety conscious. And so, I mean, we started speaking and we came out with gas detectors that can detect the level to tell, okay, this is safe zone, you can go, it's not safe, right? And so I tell people that, look, work should be done, but life should not be done with. Let's get the work done, but the life that is there should not be compromised, even though the work has to be done, but then the life shouldn't be. And so so we get the gas data. Now we're able to detect, okay, this is safe, don't go, this is not, right? We're able to do that. And so that is very important, because as much as we want the work to be done, the other aspect, the life should not be jeopardized. Then I also want to add that, in fact, digitalization is the language of the day. It's like the media space where you say that there's a digital tongue, there's a tongue that people speak, there's a language they speak. So digitalization is the language of the day, and you have to speak it to own that leadership, to take up that leadership space. Leadership is about influence, there's a lot of it. And so just want to add that. That's excellent presentation. I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
Just want to add thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And so really everyone, Yeah, everyone should really go. I remember last year to have to take some trainings on using AI tools. Like, this is not a world where, like, okay, I'll catch up later. We just have to find a way of, I was even telling our team last week, even for our mentorship program, we need to find a way to digitalize everything that we do. And particularly if we want to lead, for us, we know God has asked us, God desires that we be at the top of things. We have to upskill. And digitalization is one way to do that. So I really want us to think about around this. Let's check out the platform Wilson just talked about. Imagine if you have to draft your report and it's a lot more easier, having to imagine you can actually outsmart your colleagues. Yeah, and get a promotion, right? So let's quickly do that, and I hope we get to then improve as we go on. All right, we are pressed for. Oh, Daniel, you're back, but can you really make it really quick so that we can round up now? We're done.
Yeah. Okay, please. I also want to ask. In an organization where we had a lot of field workers, is your okay? Do you have? Is it app integrated? Does it run both on iOS and Android platform?
So it's web based for now. We have the app, the mobile app. Yeah, is web based, and that makes it accessible across all devices. But we also plan to build like the dedicated apps and all of that, so that we can do the offline mode, right? Which is something we are looking towards, so that even if you don't have internet, you can use it, and when you connect to the internet, it just syncs. But for now, as long as you have internet on your phone, regardless of the kind of phone you use or tool you use, digital stuff, you can access it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Wilson. Thank you, everyone. I hope we all had a great time. We can rewatch this session on the Gepa YouTube channel. God bless you. And we will just take a few words of just a prayer, just pray very briefly, and then we'll take our chant and our community play before we go. Thank you once again, Wilson. We appreciate you. I will bring you back, of course, now already.
Always a pleasure.
All right, so everyone, I just wanted to just take a moment and just thank God for today's session. Just ask God for wisdom. Like, please, this is not a session where you just learn and I attended the session that talked about this and you share it on LinkedIn and you move on. No, I really do want us to really think about like what do I do with this information? How can I improve my life and my business with this? How do I learn about? Maybe for some of us, we just need to go dig this topic deeper and just to find out what am I even digitally aware of what is happening in my sector? What can I do to improve what I'm doing? What can I do to improve my career, my business, from the aspect of digitalization? And it doesn't even have to be, even if because your business, your organization is into, how about you yourself? How can you improve your productivity as an individual? Because most of us, the reason why we are not fulfilling or meeting God's purpose and plan for our life is because we feel like we are too busy, a lot of things to do. Whereas if you are aware of setting some of these tools, you can actually, streamline your time. What typically takes you 5 hours can be streamlined into 1. I remember even for me, from building my personal brand and my content, at the point I had to okay, what are the tools that can help me reduce the time I spend on content creation? So there are so many ways to think about these things. So Lord, we ask for wisdom for that we only just learn these things and they're just things that we learn and then move on. But we ask for wisdom to implement it as relates to our individual lives, as relates to our organization, our career and business. For some of us, this may just be what you need to talk about to move you to the next position in your office. But I trust that the Spirit of God will give you wisdom, strategy, and insight on how to, maximize the value you've gained today. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, builders, let's go.
Good morning, everyone. I trust that we've had a wonderful session. We just take the community chant right away. You can say after me, we are excellent men and women empowered by the Spirit of God to solve energy problems in Africa with the works of our hands. We provide creative solutions. We produce witty inventions and divine strategies that bring glory to God and advance His kingdom on earth. I hope that we believe that and that we're going to be doing that. Let's take our pledge. I pledge to take 2 hours, 40 minutes, a tithe of my day in deep communion with God, in prayer and the word. I pledge to be a person of integrity, standing for what is right wherever I find myself. I pledge to be bold about my faith in Jesus and to be a channel of his love everywhere I go. I pledge to be diligent and demonstrate excellence in everything my hands finds to do. I pledge to stand strong in faith in the face of adversity. I do not give in to challenges until my victory comes. I pledge to promote the growth of Africa's energy sector and to support the expansion of God's kingdom with the works of my hands. Glory, glory. Thank you all for joining today. We'll meet next week for our recharge session. Please drop your takeaways in the comment section and the group chat. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
And I know who
Thank
I
you.
am. I've been bought by his blood. All things made new.